Chapter 2, New Babies. School started again for the summer, and all the girls gathered at recess every day to sew. Kirsten liked to lean against the sun-warmed logs of the schoolhouse and chatter with her friends. They had traded scraps of cloth so that everyone could make a colorful design on a square of white muslin. The designs they made from the bits of cloth slowly grew in their hands the way wild violets bloomed on the prairie. Mary Stewart, whose family had come to Minnesota from Boston, was making the fanciest design. Mary had worked on a quilt before, so when Miss Winston wasn't there to give directions, she helped the others sew different corners and curves. She had beautiful curly brown hair and a squinched up face like a sleepy puppy's. Today, Mary was showing Kirsten how to make a sharp corner. Her curls brushed Kirsten's braids as they bent over a small piece of blue cloth. This is a piece of linen my mother wove, Kirsten said. There was just a tiny bit left after she made a shirt for Papa. Now all she makes are baby clothes. She's making little casts from an old pillowcase. Mary wet her finger and knotted a piece of thread. Last year, my Aunt Sadie had twins. Only one of the babies lived, and Aunt Sadie died after they were born. Kirsten made herself concentrate on Mary's quick fingers and the flashing needle. She didn't want to think that Mama was in danger. My mother took Aunt Sadie's baby to raise. We call her my little sister, but she's really my cousin. She never knew her real mother, of course. Mary went on. Mary went on, her lips pursed over her sewing. Kirsten pricked her finger on her needle and sucked hard at the hurt place. Everyone seemed to know stories of mothers or babies who had died here in the frontier. To think of something happening to Mama made Kirsten want to cry. It was better not to think of that. It was much better to think about the pretty designs they were making. Last year, my Aunt Sadie had twins, said Mary. Only one of the babies lived. Anna had left the sewing circle to ask Miss Winston to untangle her thread. Now she came running back. Gladly, Kirsten made a place for Anna to sit between her and Mary. Anna pulled her quilt square from her apron pocket. Honestly, isn't Miss Winston the nicest teacher ever? I'll be sorry when she has to leave powdered keg school. Kirsten was startled. She thought Miss Winston would be with them always, like family. Why would she want to leave? Kirsten asked. Teachers always move on, Mary said. I've been at this school for 4 years, and we've had 4 different teachers. Miss Winston is the only nice one. Anna picked a little white flower that bloomed in the shelter of the log school and held it to her nose. Miss Winston likes it here. She often says so. I hope she stays, Kirsten said. She wished that everything would stay just as it was now. The morning light was sweet and clear, the woods were green again, and they were all happy to have Miss Winston with them. If only Mama felt better, that was the one thing Kirsten would change. These days, Mama was as nervous and irritable as Missy, the gray cat. If Miss Winston does leave, maybe we could add her squares to her quilt. Then she'd remember us too, Anna said. I can imagine her saying, this piece of brown calico is Anna's. This blue linen is Kirsten's. And this red cotton is Mary's, Mary added quickly, but Miss Winston's quilt is finished. When she showed it to us, I saw the fancy border. Kirsten had an idea. We could make another quilt for Miss Winston, and we could all sign our names to it just the way her family did. Then when she looks at it, she'll think of all of us. Anna smiled right away. She jumped to her feet and pranced around the circle, lifting her knees like a little pony. That's a grand idea, she said, but Mary frowned. It takes a long time to make a quilt. We can't make one in a rush. Kirsten pressed her lips together tightly. Oh, she knew Mary was right. It had taken several days just to cut out a design. Sewing it to the background was taking even longer, and making all the tiny quilting stitches would surely take weeks. Now that there was so much work to do at home, Kirsten had no time to work on her design before bed. Some days, Mama's back ached so badly that Kirsten had to stay home from school to help her bake and cook. On those days, Kirsten didn't even get to sew at recess. Still, Kirsten wouldn't give up her plan to make a quilt. We could sew all of our skirts together and make a small one, she said. If we worked fast, we could finish it before the summer term is over. I think we should try, Lisbeth agreed in her slow voice that meant she was serious. She liked to think things through, so when she said they'd try, Kirsten thought the quilt was as good as finished. But Mary sat back in her heels. She shook her brown curls like a wet dog shaking off water. No, no, no! Kirsten was surprised. Why not at least try? She asked. Mary folded her arms and shook her head again. You don't understand. Being finished with the quilt isn't the best part, she said firmly. Making the quilt is the best part. Anyway, that's what I like best. Sewing it, all of us together. Kirsten looked at Mary with new respect. Of course, Mary was right. When the quilt was finished, the fun of working together would be over, and to be working and talking with her friends made Kirsten happy. Yes, she said, you're right, Mary. Anna stood behind Kirsten. I love your design, she said. It looks just like a heart. It's really a flower, Kirsten said. I wanted to look like the flowers Mama gave me to wear in my hair when I turned 8. We didn't celebrate my birthday when I turned 9. We were on our way from Sweden then. But I'm sure you'll have a big celebration this year, Mary said. 10 is a much more important birthday than 9 anyway. Kirsten licked her thread and threaded her needle. Maybe she wouldn't celebrate her birthday this year either. Maybe Mama had forgotten about her birthday. Mama had so much work to do for the new baby and so much on her mind these days. Kirsten wanted to remind Mama, but she thought it was better not to bother her until after the baby was born. It was better just to help out all she could and pray that Mama would be well. Helping out meant more and more work for Kirsten. The cows gave more milk in the spring, so there was cheese to make and butter to churn. The chickens were laying again, and Kirsten had to feed them and gather eggs. She picked berries and greens to eat too, and cooked breakfast and dinner when Mama wasn't able to be on her feet. Every night, when her chores were done, Kirsten went straight to bed and fell asleep. And as soon as she woke in the morning, she started on that day's task. There was no time for sewing now. One morning, as Kirsten was milking the cows with Aunt Inger, Lisbeth burst into the barn. Come see Missy's new kittens, she cried. What are you doing here, Lisbeth? You're supposed to be cooking breakfast, Aunt Inger said sternly. The men will be in from the field soon. They'll be hungry. I was cooking, but Anna brought the eggs in, and she said that Missy was having her kittens, so I came out to see them. They're so small. They look like mice. Elizabeth wiped her hand on her apron and made herself talk more slowly. Kirsten, maybe you could come take a quick peek. The kittens had made a home in a pile of straw. Kirsten looked at Aunt Inger, who nodded but didn't smile. Milk hissed into her bucket in 2 white streams. Go on then, but be fast about it, Aunt Inger said. We still got 2 cows waiting. Kirsten jumped up and followed Lisbeth. The sun was just rising, as pink as a primrose. The scent of lilacs and freshly turned earth was in the air. In the barn lot, Anna and Peter crouched beside a pile of straw near a huge wooden beam for the new barn. There was Missy, curled around her 5 baby kittens. Missy licked and licked the kittens, which crawled blindly against her belly to look for milk. Meow, 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 meow. 2 of the kittens were black and white, 2 were gray and white, and the smallest one was gray, just like Missy. The gray kitten was so small it couldn't squeeze in to find a place to nurse. Instead, it bumped up against the beam, then against Missy's hind leg. That one's so little, it will never live, Peter said. He heard Uncle Olaf say that about one of the piglets. Be quiet, Peter, Kirsten said. You don't know everything. She tried to guide the tiny gray kitten to its mother, but the kitten couldn't find its way. I think it has a chance, Lisbeth said, though sometimes those very little ones aren't strong enough to make it. Kirsten touched the gray kitten's stomach with the tip of her finger. The kitten's heart beat like the flutter of a butterfly wing. Its tiny mouth closed around her fingertip. Kirsten moved the kitten closer to Missy. "Oh yes, that kitten will make it," Kirsten whispered. "You'll see." "You like that one best, don't you?" Peter said. Kirsten nodded. "Well, I like the black and white one," Peter said. He liked the puppies that were the toughest and the cows that were the biggest too. "I've got to finish milking with Aunt Inger," Kirsten said. "Peter, you make sure the gray kitten doesn't get lost in the grass, will you?" Peter stood up and shoved his hands into his pockets the way their big brother Lars did. Missy will take care of her kittens. She doesn't need help. But Kirsten wasn't sure. That gray kitten was so very, very small. She leaned down and pet it one more time and whispered, "Be careful. Don't wander away or Hawk might get you. Drink lots of milk. I'll come back to see you later." She wanted to stay to guard it, but instead she ran back to the barn to help Aunt Inger. Mew. Mew, 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 mew.